Hello, and welcome to the new episode of the TSR Legal Podcast. And I'm delighted to be joined by a very good friend, Emma Waddingham, president of the Law Society and also editor of the Legal News Wales. It's a pleasure to have you on, Em. I know we've been talking about this for a number of months. But delighted to
Absolutely.
have you here.
Oh, it's a pleasure to join you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was.
And that's it. It's that to me, the reason, I deliberated long and hard about what kind of awards we wanted to establish and why. And the whole purpose of Legal News is to amplify, profile and support the sector here in Wales because we just don't get that noise enough. We have obviously got a devolved nation to some extent. We've got there are separate areas of jurisdiction over certain legislation and business practice as well. So there are lots of things in Wales that do need to be covered. And it's a very small sector anyway, and incredibly small within Wales. And, in terms of the increased competition and the challenges that's put on. However, and there's a lot of bad press out there. And obviously a lot of the media channels in the legal sector have to cover the negative elements, the regulatory issues. We've seen this week, more and more firms being closed down for whatever reason. And it's more important than ever. And also, I think in the public interest to showcase the great work. So we cover everything from business growth. So we've got two categories for that because we have under 50 employees and over 51. So that gives everybody a lot of opportunity to enter depending on the size of their firm and compete in those areas. And then we have social impact. Oh my gosh. And the stories that come out, wealth, well-being, and it's all very strategic. We have DE&I. There's leadership, there's legal operations, excellence in legal operations, individuals there who run businesses, the beating heart of the law firms and chambers, rising star, you name it, we've got it, and legal transformation, all of those things. And so what was important to me was that transparency. So of course, to make an event happen, we need partners like you. We need that funding to make a really good night and a fantastic process. But for me, it was balancing and offsetting partners with independent judges. So bringing in, as you say, that diversity of thought and that authority on the sector, people that really understand it, but not other lawyers. I didn't want other lawyers judging their peers. I wanted this to have legs. And the criteria is tough. I was speaking to a lot of people as they came in. Was there any feedback on application, the process? And they said, actually, they found it really easy, but the criteria was strong and it made them go in and get that evidence. So for a lot of teams, they were using their systems to draw down information. Most of them are doing that anyway around like marketing and results, but it made them look at it in a different way. And they said, obviously, the challenge for them is to come in and have the interviews because there's no preparation. They don't see the questions in advance. They don't know the judging panel. They get told them on the day. So they're all at the same stage going in. And the judges obviously would have seen the submissions before. But like you say, Ryan, everybody this week has said how incredible those submissions were, the time and care that's gone into them. And the real passion, the shining outcome is those interviews, because that really, they can make or break.
Yeah.
The process as well for a lot of teams.
And I think it was evident from every single finalist that we saw how important the awards are for these firms. I think even from pro bono all the way through to law firms, for the law societies that we judge. I think often individuals, organizations don't, I suppose, shout from the hills in terms of what they're doing. And it's really, really good to get, especially some of the pro bono work, that people are unaware of the type of work that they do. And I think we see
They're just
from
getting on with it, aren't they? And, there's no time to kind of work or reflect on the business
no,
because you sell the business in a very different way when you're pitching to clients. And that's what's been beautiful is every single, from the biggest firms to the newest and the smallest, have come up to me and said, do you know what was really, really lovely of this whole experience, whatever happens on the night, is we're really proud of ourselves. We've actually taken a minute to sit back and reflect on what we've done, what we've planned, what we've achieved, where we've got to go. And we've been able to maybe sit and listen to others in the waiting room and talk to them. It's just, I think for me, that's the greatest outcome really, is giving them that opportunity to reflect on those stories that don't otherwise often get told because we just don't have the time or maybe the avenue to share them. And that's the whole point. That's why we're here.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And I think especially in this market, I think it helps awards are so important, especially the awards that you've put together with your part of your Legal News Wales awards, that they are they're so diverse. So individuals and firms can really shout from the hills when they're interviewing people or they're really selling their practice, because these awards are really, really important and they really help. And especially from the individuals, from it's not just from the organisers, but it's the individuals within these firms that are nominated for these awards. You could see how much.
Oh, absolutely. And in particular, and obviously as a I hesitate to use the term non-lawyer, but a legal operations professional, having been there. And, I'm currently president of the largest law society in Wales, and I'm not a lawyer. I've never did a law degree. So I totally get the mission to raise the profile of it. And many have, they're equity partners, they're directors that are looking after aspects of the business. They've never been lawyers. They're experts in their own field, and they also have seat at the top table and an investment in that. And I don't think enough has been done over the years to champion those individuals and to shine an individual light on them. So often it's like supporting the industry or, a category right down at the bottom of national awards. Those finalists in particular, the 4 finalists from very different organisations, have all said some of them have been nominated by their peers and had no idea they're
Yeah,
being put forward. So of course the interview was a
it
lot of
was.
fun for them. But they absolutely loved it, and they really relish the opportunity to share their story and what we're doing afterwards. Because this is the thing as well. The awards aren't just one night. And I was thinking, over Christmas, what do we do this year? We've got podcasts on all our winners, and they're being pushed out over the last few months. We've got another couple to come out. What more can we do? Share these stories and actually link everything together. So there are some categories: social impact, legal operations, and leadership and rising star, that I want to have with panel events to talk about those experiences, but also, pick up on some of the commonalities, some of the challenges, and really promote the opportunities in those particular areas and share those stories around social impact in Wales. Others will be round table discussions. So we'll get those stories from all the finalists, not just the winners, because Ryan, this is like a tiny thin bit of paper between
Yeah,
all of these finalists in the main.
cool.
And so while there is glassware on the night, there is so much more that we can do to share, and we've got the platform to do it.
Yeah.
So that's the joy to do that.
Because it's highlighting the work that's done in Wales, isn't it? I think the market has
Mm.
changed considerably. We've seen that with firms coming into the area in the last 2, 3, 4 years. The whole legal landscape in Wales has completely changed. And it's such
Yeah.
an excellent way to showcase the work that's done in Wales, to the wider
Completely.
legal market.
I mean, I like a busy calendar, so I went out last night after the last day of judging with some lawyers and was catching and reflecting, obviously, on the week. And I've been saying this for a long, long time, and I know you feel the same way. It really is the time for regional firms right now. There's been a lot
Yeah.
of disruption of coming into the market, people moving around, healthy competition. It makes people up their game in a lot, in a number of ways. And I think firms of all sizes have responded really well to that challenge, actually. Okay, so I really, really do. And a lot of those are finalists in the awards. But there is this rising tide of opportunity and change across regional firms. And what is fantastic is to see a number of them do incredibly well and become finalists. And data and the information they shared with us, that needs to go out there. And they don't have the resources to constantly juggle the marketing the firm and sharing the stories of the things that they're doing. So, that is why we exist, to do it. They do need to be shared. And particularly because we know that a lot of students in Wales and in the legal sector in Wales, law students are going to Bristol and beyond, but there's fantastic work here. In fact, you could probably move up the ranks a lot quicker in some of these firms. And the quality of life is fantastic. So there are so many reasons to get that message out.
Yes. I think that
Recruitment, as you know, is one of them.
Yeah, I think that's evident. I think a lot of lawyers tended to go to Bristol and they tended to go further afield. But we're not seeing it as much in the market today. We're seeing actually lawyers wanting to come back and actually wanting to
Good.
work in Cardiff. So we have seen a massive shift. And like you said, competition is great for for other firms in the area because it really makes them up their game, change their processes, look ahead more so for to the future.
Yeah.
And I think it's a massive positive for the industry. One thing I wanted to ask, Kevin, I know we've discussed this previously. Um, what was the reason for you kind of establishing these awards? What was the, I suppose, what was your purpose around that?
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, going back to that point around uh, the the business of law, so showcasing that growth and sharing those stories. There are a number of awards platforms, some of them set up by very dear friends of mine, but very often they're not hosted. I mean, we have a challenge hosting these in Cardiff, and there are 4 Wales, and I need to look at ways to engage and build confidence in firms. In perhaps particularly in North Wales, to take part and look at ways in which they can do that, particularly through the interview process. But we're only 2 years into these awards, okay? But a lot of the awards processes they're very expensive. You have to pay to enter a lot of them, and I understand why that is, but that can already put people off when you don't have the resources. And I know there are a lot of firms in Wales who didn't enter this year because they're in the middle of a bit of change. They want to showcase that next year, or they're building that resource in to be able to take on the submissions. And I understand that. But so you've got price, you've got the fact that a lot of them are hosted, in Birmingham and Manchester and London. And to take the whole team, it is costly.
Right.
Time and money. And also, there are a number of fantastic awards that celebrate technical ability. So the Family Law Awards, the Personal Injury Law Awards, those types of private client awards, step awards, conveyancing awards. Don't need to replicate those. And in fact, I think firms probably want to be benchmarked across England and Wales. So, for me, they're an awful lot of work, awards. It's very easy to kind of sit on the outside and think, oh my gosh, what a huge money making engine. Maybe that's just me, but they can be. But that's not why we do it. And I think, for me to do it and make it worthwhile, to put all that hard work and effort in, the time of the judges and the investment for everybody involved and the firms themselves, the investment from the firms themselves, it had to be something different. So when you look at the categories, the ability for us to harness those, leverage those stories and push them out on a national platform. So how do we do that? Well, we've got John Hyde from the Law Gazette as one of our judges. He's our host for the night. He's been coming over more regularly to meet firms in Wales, and he absolutely relishes those opportunities to pick up those little stories. As well as judging, he was sat next to you, writing in shorthand. Speak to this person, pick up with that person, interview them. So that's great because it gives them a platform nationally.
Yeah.
For people like Mark Evans to be sat on the panel yesterday with us to listen to all the firms, see those rising stars. He's already had a conversation with me about, okay, what could we do next with some of these individuals? It's that ambassadorship as well as the awards itself.
Yeah, because I think often, especially the rising star, I think a lot of people wouldn't have been aware of their stories if it wasn't for these Legal News of Wales awards highlighting these people. I knew of these individuals, but I didn't know their story. And it's really, really important because at the end of the day, they're the next generation of lawyers that are coming through. They're going to be the next generation of potentially partners, equity partners in the future. So them stories are extremely, extremely important. And it helps them junior lawyers coming through into a ever-changing SQE market or market, for them to actually look at them lawyers and think, wow, look what they've achieved in such a short period.
Uh, and with great adversity in many instances. So you've got, a number of individuals who have shared stories with us for the first time ever, and they all. I mean, this is the other thing, and it makes me incredibly proud. Okay, so this week, I'm more proud of this week really than almost the awards ceremony itself. That's the icing on the cake for me, because you've got managing directors and partners, senior leaders and rising stars, and everyone's coming in with they were nervous. Well, obviously the leaders probably weren't as nervous, but they couldn't quite believe, a lot of them, why they were in that category, or realizing the weight of the process ahead of them with the interview. And if they didn't care about these awards, they'd just sail in, do whatever, come out and be like super cool about it. And that made me incredibly proud that people have bought into this process. and into the program and what I'm trying to build, what we're all trying to build. So, yeah. And so to sit down with that level of trust with those judges, with what we're trying to do and share those stories. I mean, they can't just sit in that room, can they? They have
Yeah.
to be put out more widely. Yeah.
I think the judges are probably equally as nervous as well, going into that
Yeah, I know. I like to say that to
room.
everybody. I was
Yeah.
like coaching
I think
everyone going in, like, it's going to be all right. They're
yeah.
normal. They're human. We're all the same.
I just think it's we you could see how important it was for the finalists. I think we were obviously making sure that we're making the right decision because could give an award
Yeah.
to every single finalist, if we're completely honest, because they were extremely they all valued them the rewards.
They all exemplified it, all the criteria and excellence. And this is why, right? Because a lot of people have said, oh, you don't sit in on the panel yourself, Emma. And that is unusual as an organizer and particularly an editor of a title as well. So I think I'm a bit more of a storyteller
Yeah.
than a pure editor now. But that is quite unique. And I pointedly decided not to get involved in shortlisting and judging because, firstly, I don't know. Like you, I'd give everyone an award. I couldn't not.
Yeah.
And I know too much. Obviously, they all work with me in different ways, but I think it's fairer that I wasn't in so
Yeah.
many levels, and a lot of people found that really refreshing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. What's next in terms of League of News Wales,
Yeah,
the wars? It's growing year on year. What's
yeah, I
next?
know. I know. If anyone
Yeah,
finds a way to claim
it's not gonna be a
yourself, yeah.
venue in Cardiff to be able to hold everyone. 'Cause I know how
Oh,
it
I know,
was
yeah, with the dinner.
massive.
So last year's dinner, inaugural dinner, an amazing venue. Absolutely love the venue. Unfortunately, until we knock a wall down
Yeah,
in that hotel, we can't fit any more in. So we've gone to a larger venue, which is a huge risk still. Year two, and I think we've got 3 tables left, and they'll be the squeezy in tables. So
yeah,
if we don't sell them, that's fine. If we do, people are very welcome to come. We've got law firms who haven't entered, who've bought tables, who want to be in the room. So there is an amazing opportunity for anyone listening
yeah.
to come and network. Loads of opportunity because there's an after party as well in the same venue in the Coal Exchange. So I'm going down to visit them after this call. Very excited. So we've got the awards on the 4th of June. Middle, in the meantime, and we've just had our annual roundtable with the Legal Services Board in Swansea. So they ask us every year to host that for them. We've had a number of events on risk and regulation and conveyancing forum. All of that is on Legal News Wales, on all the reports on that. And I highly recommend you have a look at that if you haven't attended those events. They're fantastic. The meeting with the LSB was brilliant in Swansea with all the firms there. So that will be coming out shortly. But we've just launched our Resilient Legal Leaders series. So these are lunches, private dining lunches in the Ivy. So a really nice opportunity to come. And I wanted to do something different. So our roundtables are superb. We have lots of firms. We're really good at this in Wales of just opening up and sharing and no holds barred, progress things quite quickly because of that. And also because of our accessibility to ministers and all sorts. And change makers. So they're great, but you do have to participate on a roundtable. Okay. So, and that gets reported on. And then we've got our forums. So they are kind of what they say on the tin. We generally open discussions. Sometimes we might have a guest. So, for example, our last conveyancing forum, it was important for the sector to meet with they actually wanted to meet the sector, with the Welsh Revenue Authority, to talk about land transaction tax and digital property transactions and movements in the market there. So they are, an opportunity to listen, but, it's a bit more, still a little bit round a table. Then we've got our panel events. We've got our Legal Tech Roadshow, which we hosted in March, and that'll be coming back again in the autumn. So lots of opportunities, but not always the time to sit and talk and ask silly questions and get informed and not be thrown a massive sales pitch. So we thought, right, we've got a great relationship with the Ivy. They've got a lovely private dining room. They've got brilliant ways of laying out the room. I don't want it to be over sponsored. So quite often they are paid, self-paid. I think it's something like £45 a head, which is great for 2 courses and a couple of drinks and a great opportunity. So our first one is on the 12th of May and it's pretty much sold out. Actually, Karen from TSR is coming, and it's on strategic marketing and BD and what firms are getting right, what they're getting wrong, what others are doing, how to stand out from the crowd, helping lawyers understand what it means to do that and how to link and and put a bit of synergy into business development and marketing, because there is still so much more that I think law firms could be getting right. So we've got
Yeah.
some fantastic speakers. Then we've got, I think we're having a lock-in, lock-up. Yeah, the lock-up, lock-in, sorry,
Mm.
even better way of phrasing it, in June. So that'll be announced soon. And then we've got one around succession planning with Menzies in July. And I want to have one every month around all our other events. And I can't believe how quickly they've sold out. So there is a difference of, some of them will be for lawyers, some will be for legal operations professionals. There will be those who work with the legal sector who may or may not be able to attend. So yeah, watch your space, legalnewswales.com/events. That's where everything will be listed. Gosh, what else have we got, Ryan? More roundtables, definitely. We're heading into the autumn. There will be some further anchor events. So the Legal Wales conference this year on the 9th of October will be hosted in Cardiff in the Marriott. I know that we'll be sharing information about that shortly. That is an amazing opportunity to meet with the sector, Lady Chief Justice, Law Commission, everybody there. And we've got a fringe week of programs, so a fringe program. So there's an exciting event with John Hyde the night before the event, the conference and dinner. So we're just finalising the details for that. Yeah, so there's loads of stuff going on in a nutshell. And one thing, if you don't mind me doing another little push, we have just launched I think it's our 4th survey for the legal sector. Legal News was established in 2020. Obviously, we all know what happened then. In fact, it was the week we all went into lockdown that we launched, completely coincidentally. I love that some people think that I did that within that week and just pulled it out of the bag. I'm not that good, but it was a great opportunity for us to bring everyone together. And so there's a lot of information that we needed, because around home working and hybrid and concerns and tech and all of those things. So we had a couple during lockdown, just after the full, I'd say kind of the main wave of the pandemic. We had a legal tech one with Swansea's Innovation Lab, but we haven't done anything for about 18 months. And so we're partnering with Osprey Approach Legal Software to run an independent report on business growth, challenges, market movements, where people might be opening new offices, what their ambitions are, recruitment, succession planning, tech, AI, everything. And it's completely anonymous. I would say probably for more senior members of an organisation to complete that, but any legal organisation in-house team will compile all this anonymised data. It takes 8 minutes to do it. We've tried and tested. We'll take all that data and put it into a lovely looking report to launch that week in October. And we did ask the regulators, organisations like Menzies, yourselves at TSR, to input a couple of questions as well. So we've just got that understanding of what it is we need to know about the sector to help it move along, but also, rather than rumour, get some hard data on what it is the sector wants and needs. And that helps us shape events. It helps vendors supply the right information. It helps membership organisations and regulators target and support as well. So I please just take those 8 minutes, get somebody to fill it in and share it, and we can help everybody. It would be amazing. So that's my little plug.
Fantastic. And I suppose for anyone listening who hasn't put a nomination, obviously an application in this year, I highly recommend reaching out to them, even if just for the informal discussion initially about the awards that
Oh,
MO
yeah.
Wales,
Yeah.
because I really feel it's highly beneficial. The categories are so diverse. There's an opportunity for everyone across the sector. So
100%.
yeah, highly
And look,
recommend.
I do my very best to make sure everybody's included, whatever happens. So if you can't get in person, or it's difficult for you to get in person to those interviews, we can make it happen. Obviously, it's great to see everyone in person. There's that, and it's beneficial for the individuals themselves. But we've had winners, have pre-recorded sessions because they've had to be in a government meeting. We can't compete with that, but we can't also not give them that opportunities. Look, where there's a will, there's a way. I will make it happen. But yeah, definitely, come along to the awards, just buy a ticket, come along and see what it's all about. But regardless of that, pick up the phone, have a chat with me. obviously write these submissions for people. I can give feedback on what the judges like. I'd like to do maybe, Ryan, another podcast with you and maybe with John Hyde and John Cullen from Menzies, who was chair of the judging panel alongside his colleague Alex Davis, and to talk about some of the things that the judges love to see
Yeah.
in the submission and then also at interview. So I think there's a real opportunity to have a good event there. But, it could be a lot of right. So a lot of organizations, and this isn't just law firms, I think this is anyone putting an award application in, will sit there and go, but it's not, is it winning? Is it, is it any different to what anyone else is doing? Let me tell you now, the entrants we've seen, even those who sadly didn't quite make it into the finalist pot, those applications all had something in there that was particularly fantastic, that was driving that business, that wasn't the norm, that was above and beyond. Now, whether that's the culture, the passion, the outcome, the measurement tools, whatever that was, it doesn't have to be completely game changing to be award winning. And sometimes that term innovation, it's well, we haven't used that in our awards because we're not talking about completely throwing the baby out with the bathwater here.
Yeah.
We're talking about, what it means, what excellence means in terms of that success across so many different aspects. So yeah, pick up the phone, have a chat with me, come to the events, have a conversation with us. Obviously pick your brains and Karen and Rachel, who are also judges for our week, and talk to other law firms who hopefully have lots of lovely things to say about it.
Thank you, Em. It's been an absolute pleasure. I can't believe how long we've
Always.
been speaking for. Yeah, anyone listening has any questions, you obviously know Emma. Reach out to Emma. Anything that I can do to help. But until next time, keep listening.
Yeah,
And
looking forward
yeah,
to see you on the 4th of June. Well, I'll see you
look forward.
before then, but yeah,
Yeah, look
4th of
forward to seeing
June,
you.
the awards. Thank you very
Till then,
much.
take care. Bye, Em.